everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Answers podcast. This time with one of Ask the Answers psychics. It's the lovely Shae that's joining us today. Hi, Shae.
Hi, everyone. How's it going for everybody today?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing well.
And is that how you pronounce your name, just to make sure? Is it Shae?
Yes, Shae is correct.
Shae, amazing. We obviously hear a little bit of an accent. Where are you from?
I'm from the U.S. on the East Coast. So.
And were you born and bred there?
On the East Coast, yes. Not in the same state I'm in, but on the East Coast. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Lovely. So obviously a different time difference. You're in the morning, I believe.
Yeah, about 5 hours behind you guys.
Okay, nice. Well, lovely to have you on the show today. We're going to find out a little bit all about, well, not a little bit, probably a lot about yourself and the ways that you work and what you specialise in, and maybe things that are current that you're facing at the moment on the phone lines. How long have you been doing this work for?
Well, I've been doing mediumship, part of it, for over 5 years, but the actual psychic kind of on and off for 10 years, kind of on and off.
Oh, okay. So did the mediumship come first then?
It came through stronger, actually. So I started psychic, but then I kind of switched to mediumship, and then everything else fell in place. Mm-hmm. But it just comes, because everything I do, it's kind of a mixture of psychic with the mediumship. So, for example, if I pull a card for somebody, then I'll get a message from spirit. They pop into with something like, tell them this or tell them that, that kind of.
So, I mean, when did it all happen for you? Is it something that started early on in your life, or did you come into it at a later stage?
I knew when I was actually a child, I always had dreams and I had premonitions, and I would say something to a parent and then it would come true. So I kind of knew that it was there when I was little, but I didn't actually get into it till I was in my 20s. And then the past 5 years, even more so, really developing it more and getting stronger with the skills.
Yeah. Amazing. What do like people around you, your family or your friends think about it? Are you open with people saying that you do the mediumship and psyche, or is it something you keep quite private?
Some do. I kind of half of them know, half don't. Especially I have another job. I do work that's not this kind of work, so I keep that separate.
Yeah.
But family does. They ask like, oh, well, can you bring in a grandfather, or can you bring in a grandmother? They ask those kinds of questions. And friends too, like, they know. Because a few friends have the abilities too, so that we can swap readings and all that, which is nice.
And how does spirit come through to you? Is there a set way, or can it come through in many forms?
Well, for me, since I do a lot of mediumship now, if I just change my awareness, I can set my awareness and I can kind of see them, and I get images and I hear them. But there are times too where I could be walking at a food store and then see somebody pop up, or they're trying to talk to somebody, and oh no, I'm not here for that. Nope. I have to walk away, So I do see random ones, but usually I have to set my awareness for it.
Yeah.
I can see on people,
So it does take time to get to a level where it is that strong. It doesn't, you don't wake up one day and suddenly it's bam, it's there and it's full speed ahead. It's something that you have to build on yourself as a medium.
I found I did, because everybody has the ability, I know, but you have to actually develop it. It's like any skill. So it did take me a good 5 years to really get it to a point where I can just set my awareness, and I can grab a spirit real fast and say, hi, how are you? And then send them back on the way. But it took 5 years, I would say, for that.
Oh, wow. I mean, it must be a huge responsibility with something like that, because, people are possibly desperate. They want answers. They want closure when they're searching for, a message from a loved one.
It can be, because I do have some friends that always want to contact me if they have a friend that passed recently, and I do, but I make them wait a while first, because when they're first grieving, I said, let's wait a few months, first before, we dive into it, because they're really emotional still. So I do recommend that people, if you have a recent passing, to wait, 3 to 6 months first, and then talk to a medium.
Yeah. And can you guarantee that the person they're asking for will come through?
I never say that, but they usually do, though. It's really, spirit is very intelligent. If you ask for somebody, they always come through for me if I do ask, but I don't want to guarantee that, just in case someone else comes through first, which happens, because they jump in line sometimes, like, no, I want to come through first, so I get that.
Amazing. I mean, what an amazing gift to be able to do that. It's, it's almost like a superpower that you have, where you can, contact those loved ones that have passed over. It's just, do you ever sort of think, oh my God, this is amazing what I do? Do you still get shocked by it now?
I do sometimes, because I'll tell somebody, I'll pick up some evidence, and they're like, oh my gosh, I I forgot about that, but that's a good memory, or you brought back good memories for me, or, just to shock them, or evidence that only that person could know. So it's not psychic reading. It's actually, evidence from them. So
yeah, and I think that is, such a big thing, isn't it? That people want that specific details, something that's not generic, not that they can make fit, something that there's only, they would know, for them to go, okay, this is real.
Exactly. Yeah. Because even psychically, you can pick up on people that are, crossed over, but it's really evidence that you can't get psychically. So that's how they know the difference. So, it's like a phrase they said, or something that I gave them. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
So, what's your daily life like as a psychic? Is it different from anybody else?
I would say probably, because I don't do it full time quite yet. I have to do a regular job, kind of like teacher too. So I teach during the day, and then I do this at night and the weekends usually. So it's a mix. But I can tell you sometimes when I'm working my other job, I could be in the middle of something, and then my ears will start ringing. Someone's trying to say like, "Oh, I'm working right now." Like, you have to wait until I'm actually working with you. So I do get that every day. Just someone trying to say, "Hello, I want to talk to you." Like, I'm not available. It's like,
does it run in your family? Is it something that you've grown up with, or are you the only person that you believe in your line of family?
The only person I know is that my grandmother on my father's side had a gift, but she was misunderstood, where she saw things in her voices. They never really understood it. And now in hindsight, I said, "Oh, she was a medium. That's why." So I think I have her gift.
Oh, wow. And do you do things like go on ghost hunts, or do you do paranormal events? Do you do anything like that?
I do sometimes. I'll go to all the ghost tours. Like, I travel from other states where I'm in and go to ghost tours and look at the history. And actually, a very interesting story. This past October, I went to Arizona for a ghost tour, and they had a house that it talked about, and they told stories about the house, and they didn't describe the man at all. So later at the end of the tour, they asked, "So did anybody see a ghost?" And I said, "Well, I saw a man in the window, and he was bald." They go, "Oh yeah, he was a bald man who lived there," and I didn't know that information. So it's pretty cool to know that.
I mean, when I spoke to somebody not so long ago, they were saying about there's so many sort of things that you can use, like equipment-wise now, to detect energies around you.
Oh yeah, we have those meters too that do go off with energy. I'm not sure how accurate they are though, because sometimes it picks up other things too. But they do have all the meters that get red or get really green and start flashing. The EMF meters they use. Yeah, that's it.
Interesting. And is it just Ask the Answer that you work for? Or have you done like shows or any sort of platform work, spiritual churches, that sort of thing?
Really just on Zoom. I do some readings on Zoom for mediumship with other people. Like, we take turns with that. So like a gallery style. And then I do privately on the side. I'll do my own stuff too. Like, I'm not working for this hotline, but I like this hotline. I look at the other ones and I don't find them as intriguing. So this one just is nicer to me. So I like this job here.
Yeah. And that's good, isn't it? It's nice when you enjoy what you do, and obviously you do. You're speaking to so many different people from all different walks of life, and I imagine from all different parts of the world.
Yeah, all over. A lot from Australia and New Zealand, and then of course your side of the pond. Everybody. Okay.
Which country's got the most issues?
I like Australia and England, I think. I don't know.
Oh dear, we all need to move to America. I mean, is it something that you see as a hobby, or do you see it as a profession? What you do?
It's a profession. It's more of a passion, because I do this every week. I'm working on the mediumship, and I do in the psychic too. I'm trying to do that because people don't always want to talk to their relatives. They want to know information I get. But every week I'm working on it. So it's more than a hobby for me. It's definitely a passion that I will take it further in the future. That's my goal. I can do that.
Yeah. Your pathway. And we had a little brief chat before we came live on the podcast. You were saying that a lot of people are getting stuck in a journey or a pathway that isn't right for them, that they don't feel fulfilled, that they feel that they're not in alignment with things. I mean, how do you guide people with that? If they come from the phone lines and say, "I hate my job, I hate where I live, it just doesn't feel right, I'm not happy," because for a lot of people, they can't just get up and leave. They've got responsibilities. So, what does a psychic reading offer?
That's true. I get a lot of that on the phone calls where they they're questioning their job or not happy with the person they're with, or if that person is going to call them. So usually if they feel like they're not happy with a situation, it's because they're not in alignment with the highest good. I was saying, if you're finding that you're having resistance with a connection with somebody or at work, it just means that you're not where you're supposed to be. So it's a way of the universe to say, okay, this is okay for now, but you can't stay here forever. So let's get off this track. So I do look at usually, how they're feeling about the job or the person they're with, and then what can be changed with it. And also look like if it does change, or if you have to try something different. I can give advice too about what you should be looking for in this person or this job. Your signs and even signs and symbols too that pop in sometimes.
And just some reassurance. I had that conversation with another psychic the other day that, sometimes it's nice to speak to a psychic for that reassurance and to just to highlight a few things that are going on around that maybe you can't see, or just to sort of evaluate, what's the right word? Evaluate? Reevaluate? So reassure them. What's the word I'm thinking of? Oh, it's gone. But yeah, basically just to give them that confirmation that they are on the right path and they're going the right way, because you can feel really uncomfortable and going through that transition period is quite unsettling for a lot of people, so it might not feel right at that time.
That's true. Like a change is required too, like you're going through a process where you leave one job or go to another, or a connection with someone ends and you find someone new, but you're still questioning the other connection. So it is going to be uncomfortable at first, we make that change.
But nothing stays the same. And we had a conversation with my husband the other day, and he's recently just been made redundant. And it was something we were chatting about a few weeks ago, about how he would like to change his job, that he wasn't feeling fulfilled. And then a week later, he got made redundant. We were like, oh my God. It's almost like a bit of a push and a nudge for him to move on from where he was, because he was already not feeling it. But obviously, security, he didn't want to leave it. But I said, I've been speaking to loads of psychics, and they're saying you are aligned in what you're doing at the moment. And I don't know, for some reason, we're not like panicking, or, he's very good at what he does. So he can walk into another job if he wanted to, but it's just finding the right job for him, and he's a grafter. But I think when you know that it's the right thing to do and it feels right, and you don't feel bad from moving away from a situation, it's almost like a weight's been lifted off your shoulder. Then oh, actually, it wasn't right for me.
It's true. Like, like when you step away from it. And I know I've had my experience with jobs that I couldn't stand when they drain you too. Like you feel drained when you get home. That's how you know too it's not working. Or even if you're married to somebody or have a boyfriend, girlfriend, if you feel drained with that relationship, that means it's probably not the best one for you. But it's always a good lesson though. It's an experience that you need.
Yes.
Then it helps you to the next one, next positive connection or job, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed on your profile, do you analyze dreams? Do you is it a dreams that you do, an animal connection?
Animal communication. Well? I don't do dream analysis, but I do animal communication too, because I think I wrote there, as a medium, I can talk to even a person that's living, their higher self. So a lot of people do ask about intentions and feelings of others, and usually I ask their spirit about something. Okay, what's going on with you, or why are you contacting your friend here? So I can talk to their actual spirit, which is getting information about why they're going through what they're going through. And animal communication is very easy. It's easier than humans, because they have no baggage. They just tell it like it is. So yes, I do that. And of course, I do other forms of mediumship, but that can't be done on the hotline. So I can't advertise that too much. But it's
Ah, amazing. And do you have regular callers that come to you, or have you built up quite a relationship with some of them now?
With the animal communication or people?
Just in people in general, do you get sort of a big following of people coming back for sort of updates, or is it sort of people come and then they go and they do their own thing?
Yeah, I do get, even working for here, I do a lot of same people call me a lot. I have a lot of regulars, which is nice. And then also outside of here too, just the stuff I do on my own, I do get a lot of return people asking questions about how things have changed. So So
and that's testing in itself, isn't it? When someone's coming back to you, they're obviously enjoying the readings, things are coming to fruition, things are making sense. So I need to speak to her again.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Even last night I had a call where someone said, it was crazy when I had called you last, you said something about how he stared at my eyes, which I didn't understand until a day later. I ran into him and he stared right at me for like 3 seconds. I was like, okay, that's what I saw. Okay,
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Oh, amazing. So obviously, when you're not doing this, you said that you're a teacher, but do you have any other hobbies or any other
yes,
interests?
live music. I love going to concerts of all kinds of music, just being in that energy, because
Oh,
they're high frequency, I
yeah,
think it's,
yeah, 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 yeah. So you work hard and
yep,
party
it's
hard.
work hard, play hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. And where do you see this sort of line of work going? You said you want to do more of it. Would you, in an ideal world, like to leave your job that you're doing and go full time, or would you still work both of them?
I probably would rebalance it where now it's like 60-40, make it more 50-50, or push
Yeah,
that back the job to 40% and make this 60%, to more balance
yeah.
it out. Yeah.
Do you ever imagine that you'd be doing this professionally? As a psychic, did you think, oh, one day I'm going to be a psychic medium on the phone lines? Did you ever think that that would happen?
If you asked me that 10 years ago, I'd be heck no. Like I don't see that, because I was the teacher,
Yeah,
but now I just see it's to help people, it's more rewarding, that other job is good too, is
yeah,
teacher, but that's just teaching a topic where this is actually helping you understand your life's purpose, or bringing
yeah.
through people for them. So it's more rewarding for sure.
Definitely. And I expect no reading is the same. Every reading, different people, as we mentioned, from different parts of the world. Some very interesting readings, I imagine.
Oh yeah, very different. It's nice too because it goes one from a psychic reading to mediumship, back to career, back to so it's all mixed up every time. It's nice though.
Yeah, definitely. And what about the ways that you work? You talked about mediumship, but do you work with any tools at all?
I do. Now it depends on the question too. I don't always need tools, but if they do have a question to get started, I will pull a card, a tarot card, because I'm training that. But then I don't stay on the cards. 'Cause after one card, usually, then it all comes in energetically. Um, or the spirit guides help too. That they pop in every time and want to give information. So
Yeah.
it's fast. But I do a mixture of cards and mediumship. And if they want me to do a yes no question, I can use a pendulum. But usually I just hear the answer, or the cards confirm.
Yeah.
Um, and I know I don't put that profile, but I have training in the other cards, the Lenormand cards too. I'm not sure if that
Hmm.
is, and that's pretty accurate for people. That I do more email readings because I like the email readings because you have time to sit in the question more, and then you get
Yeah.
information for spirit, then you pull more cards, and you get a lot more information. Than on the phone, you're going fast. Like you have to really,
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because you got people hanging on the end of the phone waiting for the answer, whereas you can take time with the email.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I do both, but I like that it's more detailed in the email, and you have more information for them, which is very helpful.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, but so it's cards mixed with the mediumship, basically.
Nice. And you said that, sometimes you work with some other people and you swap readings. How have readings been beneficial for you in your life?
I think it helps me because I'll get a psychic hit, or I'll think something might come true, but then I'm not sure because it was about you, then you're biased. So if I ask somebody else and they can validate for me that if what I'm getting is right, or if I'm wrong too, because even if you're psychic, that your bias can get in the way of your
Yeah,
answer for you, right? So,
yeah, 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 definitely.
so
Did
it
you
does help me.
did you go to a psychic before you started doing readings yourself? Had you ever experienced that before?
I did actually, yes, many 20 years ago and even 10 years ago, I did. And I think I was amazed at what they picked up on. I was like, wow, how do you do that? And so I think it seems so difficult where it's really not if you're attuned to the energy and if you're trained, or if you train yourself to tap into your intuition more.
Yeah,
But I was very amazed by that. And I was like, I want to do that one day.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Did
I am.
you did you go to this psychic just out of curiosity, or was it as an event, or were you going through some challenging times that you wanted some answers at that time?
A challenging time. It was a strained relationship, one time, and then a career reading because I had a job that I didn't like. It was more getting by, and I said, when's it going to change? And like, oh well, if you go to college, you go to university, you get a degree, then all the doors will open up. And,
Yeah,
and it did, but I had because it's 20 plus years ago, so I was a lot younger, of course. But
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah,
Ah, amazing. So it's good when you've experienced it firsthand as well. So you know what other people are maybe feeling when they're coming for their first readings, or, when they are, seeking a psychic. You've been there yourself.
exactly. And some things you don't actually, it won't make sense right away because I know too, like I was told something 20 years ago that it never really came to pass until recently. Then I thought about something, because
Yeah.
if you see something so far out, you don't, like, you kind of brush it off, like, oh, that's not going to happen. But then
Yeah.
it might 20 years later. So I tell people, don't, write everything down, because you never know. It might come 10 years later, 20 years later still.
Yeah. It's funny actually because well, I can't remember how many years ago, but it was probably a good 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, I think it might have been, because I was in a flat. I had a flatmate in London, and we were having, we had an astrology reading done, both of us. And I remember in the reading, the guy said that my flatmate was going to be feeling very settled and content. It was in 2024. And I remember thinking, cool, that's ages away for you. And then it came to me that I was going to be settled and feel complete and in 2025. And I remember saying to him, oh, I'm going to be a year after you. And it was so weird because we came into this year and I said to somebody, I said, oh, I feel really complete, content. I feel like I'm where I should be with everything in my life. It's so lovely. And then suddenly it was just a flashback to remember being in the flat with my flatmate and saying, God, I remember saying that in however what years ago it was, 10 or 15 years ago, that we're going to be in the place that we are today. And I rang him on the phone. I said, do you remember the astrology readings we got, that you were going to feel complete last year? And he did. He got married last year. He adopted a child last year. He started feeling settled. And he said, oh, he feels great where he is in his life. And I went, it's funny because I'm now here in 2025, which seemed like back then so many years away that, a distant memory is now all coming to fruition.
That's true. Is it even some you pick up some? Well, I see a job where you're doing it in this field, and and right now it's not even their energy. Like, I don't see that happening. Like no, I don't think that's right. But then it happens later down the road.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh, so I mean, with some of the readings that come through, do you get like more females than men, or are men quite open to having psychic readings now?
I find men lately, yes, I've had more men, and surprisingly too, because it mostly is women, you think, but the men are starting to come a lot. And even I know even the email readings too. There's a lot of men emails to versus phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
I think they prefer email than the phone calls for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, they're quite well. Everyone's slightly different, but it can be quite black and white with guys, I suppose. With women, it's a bit more emotional, a bit more spiritual, or am I wrong in saying that?
That's true. I think women feed more, or they actually look into things more, where a guy can call and say, is it going to work out with her or not? And then you have to say, well, it will eventually, but not until after all of these little roller coasters, but a woman will ask, well, why is he acting that way? Or why do I have to go through this first? They ask for questions, I feel.
Yeah. And it's almost having a look at yourself, isn't it? People don't always want to take responsibility for your own actions, your own personal development. We're always thinking or blaming maybe other people, or sometimes we don't see what we need to be working on. And I think that's what's really nice about the psychic world and psychic readers. It really opens your eyes to, well, actually, maybe you need to be working on yourself a little bit more, whether it's loving yourself or setting boundaries, or doing manifestations or meditations, whatever it might be. There's always lots of personal growth that we can all take on board.
That's true. I had a phone call too not too long ago where I did advise a person to start meditating, because they're not, if you're in the clouds or you can't think straight, just meditate, and then you feel better about yourself too if you have low confidence. But if you start meditating, it's as if you go into yourself in your own spirit, and then you feel better about things. So it does help that too.
Yeah. So like I said, there's so much to a psychic reading. It's not just about predictions. It can bring so much awareness in mind, body, and soul, so to speak.
Oh, it does for sure. And also, if people notice, if you have the same issue over and over again, that's a sign that you have to learn something. So say, well, I keep meeting the wrong guy. I say, well, because you're attracting that, you're accepting that into your life. So it's more about boundaries. To put more boundaries up to get the right person in your life, or the right girl in your life.
Yeah. And understanding your past and why things have happened. Like you said, sometimes we don't always see what the mistakes are that we're making. I know before I obviously got married and had kids and stuff like that, but when I was dating, I was very much attracted to very confident guys, very confident, sure of themselves, but that was leading into controlling relationships. I wasn't getting that. I wasn't finding the right guy. I thought, oh yeah, they're lovely, they're confident, they cheeky chappy, but some of them are quite toxic relationships. And it wasn't until I saw that maybe I wasn't going for the right type of guys. You can be confident, don't get me wrong, but I was ending up in the wrong type of relationships.
Oh, sure, yeah, the ones with the big egos and controlling. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when somebody makes you aware of it, or someone sees it maybe that you can't see at the moment, think, oh, actually, no, you are right, and yeah, I need to be setting more boundaries or pulling back a bit, because especially when in your 20s, when you're trying to find yourself, you're wanting, you're not too sure you are in your 20s. You're still sort of working it out, aren't you? You're growing as a person, whether it's finding the right job or where you're going to settle down and things like that. Through your 20s is I think quite a challenging time for people.
Oh, yeah, it is. I would not want to go back to that age. I said ever.
I had lots of fun, but I was definitely a lost soul back then. I didn't know who or what I was doing or where I was, but I was having lots of fun. But yeah, and I lost my father during that period as well, so a big role model has disappeared. So I do believe lots of people in their 20s go through a lot of that, because not everyone, lots of people do, but not everyone meets somebody at the age of 20, settles down, has a family, and that's it. There's lots of life experiences and challenges that people face.
Yeah, it's just rare. I mean, it happens that fast. It can happen that way, but it's just rare because of all the lessons you learn in between,
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. When you are going back to your mediumship, when people come through, do they have to ask for a mediumship, or does it come naturally through on the phone lines? Because I know some people said before, when I was into the psychic world with another show, they always said that I would never just go up to somebody and say, "Oh, I've got your dad here," or "Oh, I need to tell you something." Am I right in saying that you have to wait for somebody to ask for permission to bring somebody through, or can you, if you feel that they need that message, go up to somebody and say, I need to tell you this"?
Well, if it's out in public, yes, you should never do that. I always you have to ask permission first, because I know it's very unethical to just go up to somebody in the store and say, "Hey, your dad's here," and says, it's okay to sell the car or that person. But yeah, I don't do that. But even on the phone lines too, they have to ask for the person. But interestingly, sometimes they ask a question about something else, and then they ask, "Oh, can I go to mediumship?" And then I say, "Oh yes, by the way, your dad's been standing here. So can I talk to him?" Like, "Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about him anyway." So sometimes it works out that way. But I never do it without their permission, though.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. So, what else do you cover within readings? What are the things that would stand out? You mentioned obviously people trying to be aligned with their journey and their pathway, but what other sort of questions come through on the phones?
A lot to me is how's my career plan going to work out in next year, so I can look at a year ahead to see this progress. I get a lot of that about businesses, because a lot of people have their own businesses and want to know, is it going to work out, or am I going to make more income with this over the next 6 months? So then I can kind of pull some cards and then as well hear information about how it's going to work. So that comes a lot. And of course, mostly about connections, about how someone feels or their intentions, which is normal. That's very common to ask, because you want to know, like, do they like me, or are they playing games? So I do get that a lot. Yeah, it's mediumship, of course, that helps that. So it's for that kind of questions, like, what are her intentions for me, or is it going to work out? Is a job going to work out? Will I have an increased income stream? And of course, a lot about bringing through my mom, dad, or whoever in spirit too. So
yeah. And how far into the future can you see, or how far in the future have you given a prediction?
I actually have seen up to about 2 years out, but I don't want to go beyond. I know when you don't want to go beyond a year too much, because things change. There's so many ways things can change in 2-3 years, but I usually go out 2 years or so and see how things work. Sometimes 3, but I just tell them, but no, it's based on your path now. So if you make a decision tomorrow, it could alter that 2-year outlook.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And your own experience, have you had any premonitions of things that have happened further down the line that have come true?
For me or for them? For me.
For you, and for even just in the world, have you ever picked up things? Well, I'm sure you have picked up many things, but is there any stories that stick out to you, or any sort of predictions that you've seen that have come into fruition?
I had quite a few actually, but a lot of times in dreams for me, I'll get a lot of dreams about things, and then it can happen 6 months later or a year later.
Mm.
And even now, there was one about there's a celebrity I had a dream about, which is random, but I get weird dreams sometimes. And then it showed that he was depressed about something, and I said, well, not him. He's always happy. He's in music. He's in commercials. And then I found out a month later that his brother had passed away, which why he was sad. So that kind of stuff comes through.
Yeah. Oh wow. It's amazing what you're able to pick up and what comes through on the phone lines. If you weren't doing the psychic work and you weren't doing teaching, what else would you be interested in doing?
Aside from psychic mediumship and teaching, it probably help in the music. I would do something with the music probably. I mean not make music, but either producing or helping them set up events, like event planning, concerts.
Nice.
That would be, yeah.
Do you play any instruments? Do you sing or anything like that?
Not really. I used to play the guitar a little bit, but I couldn't get that good. Like, if I can't get good, there's no point. That's kind of what I was. I tried though. Yeah. So I go to concerts. Well, I'll watch them play because they're good. So.
Yeah. What's your favorite artist?
I have quite a mixture. Well, I'm music's diverse, so I like rock, rock music, and then and even some hip hop and club music and dance music too.
Oh, so, perfect. And do you have any animals or any children yourself?
I have a bird and I have lots of fish right now. Yeah. No humans right now, just animals. Yeah.
I've got 3 dogs and a miniature Shetland, so we've got a busy household and 2 kids.
Oh, you are busy. Yeah, you're a super
it's
mom.
Like a farm. Yeah, hair everywhere. I've given up trying to clean up. I'm just embrace it. One day they'll fly the nest.
Yeah, well, that's good because you have you're definitely a mom then, a super mom, call that.
Yeah, I do a bit of everything. Yeah, I'm always doing something. The only thing not getting on top of is the housework, but hey ho, we can't be perfect.
Oh yeah, well, you can't be this life. You're human. You can't be perfect.
So if people are listening and they want to have a reading with you, but maybe a little bit nervous or a little bit skeptical, or it's their first time, how would you reassure somebody?
I just reassure them to be, to be calm, but ask a question that you really want to know at first, because I feel it helps them. If they come for just a general reading, it could be anything. So I always tell them, if you're nervous, ask a question that you really want to know the answer to, because it'll kind of ease you into it, and then it can open up to more questions later, as you're in the reading.
Yeah. So you sort of have that. Yeah, and I think that's important also, is to say that you don't have to keep quiet. I think people are supposed to say, I mustn't say anything, but it is a conversation. You can, the more energy that I assume they give to you, the more you can pick up things.
Exactly. And it helps them to respond, to be in as part of the reading. So if I give information, at least, oh yes, I understand that, or I can take that, and then I can add on to that. But if they're quiet though, you're just giving information and you're saying, okay, well, does it resonate with you or not? To get that information.
It's a bit like the old sort of fashion way where people, when they went to go see a psychic, they would take off their wedding rings, they take off anything, there was any sort of, things that they could pick up on. And I suppose on the phone lines, I was like a little bit quiet, like, I don't want them to pick up too much. But the more energy, the more relaxed, the more open you are, the better that reading's going to be.
It's true, because I find it if they're too quiet, like I'll pick up information, like I'll get like, it'll be third party interference, but then they say, okay, yeah, that's the ex-girlfriend trying to interfere. But if they ask a question, how is the ex-girlfriend interfering in my connection, then I can go into that, easier. But they wait for me. I have to go around. Like, okay, well, I do see the interference here, and then okay, who is this person? And then I have to. So it's quicker if they just get to the point they want.
And not to be shy and embarrassed, because it's not going to go any further. I mean, I know obviously when we do podcasts, we'll talk generically about things that come through, but you're never going to say, Paul at this house and this number, he said this and he said that. A reading is very private. It's a chance for people to offload, to not be judged, to not feel embarrassed, for them to, because people go through very challenging and, difficult things that they feel they can't maybe talk to their friends and family about.
Exactly. And they shouldn't be embarrassed, because even every psychic medium has the same kind of problems too. So we understand it may be like, it may be a different situation, but it's the same kind of energy, same issues.
Definitely. Well, I mean, can I be cheeky and ask? It's literally only one question about my husband, about seeing when you might see him happy back in the work situation, because he's now obviously been made redundant until the end of the year. He has put the feelers out. He's worked on his CV. He's putting the energy out there. But when would you possibly pick up or see him back in a work situation that's fulfilling, but also good security?
Okay. I just heard May 2026. I'm not sure why that just popped in. That's a year from now. But I'm not sure that feels, but again, I just heard May 2026 as you were talking. So
Okay.
You'll let me know that you'll let me know later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because he said he might have to do another job in the meantime until he gets what he really wants. So maybe that's, the time that it all comes into fruition.
It could be about a year, so it might take about a year because he's still in this job and he's gonna do something else in between. But I feel like the one he really wants, or what you're asking, like, that's not until 2026. It's sometime next year. But but this year's half over almost anyway. So it's
Yeah,
not
no,
too
absolutely. I'll write that down and get back to you. Thank you very much. Well, Shae, it's been lovely speaking today. Let me just find your PIN number. It is 700053. If people want to come through and connect with you on the phone lines.
Sure, yeah, anytime. I mentioned nights and weekends. Well, yep, evenings there and weekends, and then email. I'm on email all the time, basically. I'm logged on emails.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, it's been lovely catching up with you today and finding out all about you and the work that you do. We wish you all the best for the future. And again, we look forward to people coming through and having phone readings and giving us some updates of how it's all going.
Thanks. It sounds great.
Amazing. Shae, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you too.
Bye.